name is Jahar Presentation. I've been a PCT for going on 23 years. I also teach the SCIP training at Sunnyview, which means for our agitated behavior patients. I worked with tons of people, seen everything. Now, who's in here is a PCT? Please raise your hand. RN? Okay.
And we have mental health assistants, so the techs in the mental health area. You guys
You're considered still, so I still alongside you. So all my nurses, look at all your PCTs, okay? Look at who's a PCT. Please everybody who's a PCT, raise your hand, okay? You see those people right there? Those people are gonna be your closest friend because everything begins with the PCT and it ends with you guys. The relationship that you guys have helps the floor, okay? This is also for the video, but I always say, excuse me for saying this, but what you eat don't make me shit. And what does that mean? That means when we come in from outside, try not to bring it inside. Because what you do affects everybody on your team. Because if you're the team leader, PCT has to come to you to talk to you. And they look for you to have that insight. And vice versa for the PCTs. When you guys go into those rooms and you get those vitals, you're the first people that the patients see. How would you want the person that's coming to do your vitals treat you when they come in? Right? And it's the same with the nurses. How would you like the doctor to treat you when he's asking you to do something? It's the same way the PCTs will feel. So don't talk to anybody any way that you wouldn't want to be talked to. Because we're all a team. There's a me in team, but there is no I. And what that means is that we all have to work together. And by us working together, that means that we can get everything done efficiently, quickly, and especially for our patients. Because all of us eventually is gonna have some kind of family member in the hospital. And when you come to work, I want you to think like that. How would you want to be treated? How would you want your family to be treated if they're in that bed? Okay? Because at the end of the day, you get to go home. You're here for 12 or 8 hours. That person's here for 24, 48, okay? And by them seeing you guys puts a smile on their face and makes them actually have a better stay. That's what made me be a PCT for so long. People say, well, why aren't you an RN? Well, there's a lot of things I can do as a PCT too. Nobody would ever thought that you would have a PCT talking in front of you guys and giving you guys insight on how to work on the floor, correct? Exactly. So don't look at somebody's job or anything like that. We're all on the same wavelength because we all got the same goal at heart. We all want our patients to get better. We all want the patients to go on to the next level. You guys get to see the patients maybe within the hospital, I would say a week. You can have a patient, the same patient for a week. In rehab, I have the same patient for 2 months. Okay? There's nothing I haven't been called in this job. You see me? I'm a 6 foot, 280 pound black man. Imagine when I come into the room, what's the first thing you think? Exactly, I know, I see your eyes. But actually, a lot of my patients come back to tell me how good of a stay they had. It's because of how I treat them and how I treat everybody that I work with. Because nobody is above me and nobody's below me. We're all on the same wavelength. Okay? Now think about it. What's the reason why you wanted to go into healthcare?
I was already in healthcare, but like my mom, she in and out the hospital, so I just felt like I just wanted to help people.
Wanted to help people. What made you become a nurse?
Growing up, I went through some things in healthcare for myself that I went through a lot, and I had partners that really made my experience there make me feel like I
Are you mental or are you mental?
health,
What made you want to do mental health?
My dad has PTSD, so just growing up with that, and then put me into the mindset.
Okay. One more question. What made you?
Kind of branching on to what people were saying, I used to work for Lexington, ARC,
Yeah,
their art, and we do their meds and their blood sugar, and then when we're not doing that, we're just hanging out for hours at a time, and I wanted to spend more time helping with meds and vitals and cleaning up. I didn't like the amount of stagnant time there was, so I want to be moving. I want to help people the entire time I'm working.
Okay, so everybody, because you want to help people, because what happened through the course of your life, what happened with family members. Nobody's born with empathy. Did you know that? Okay, so empathy is something that we are taught and we are learned. So when a baby sees somebody bump their knee, they laugh. That's because there's no empathy. We have so much empathy because when we work in healthcare, because we care. When you lose that, you should find another job. Because once you take the empathy out, that means you don't care for the person that's working next to you, and you don't care for the person that's in the bed. That's very important to me, okay? Because it matters. It reflects on your job, what you do on a day-to-day basis, on how you treat people, and what makes you want to stay in this job. And if you have a problem with an RN, you have a problem with PCT, try and talk to the person first. See where they at. Let's not just automatically jump to conclusions and write people off. Because at the end of the day, you still gotta work with that person. And it's the same thing with the patient. Like, if you get mad with a patient, you go home, you're normally home for 16 hours. In those 16 hours, it's on to get the way to get home, getting yourself ready for the next day. We spend so much time with each other at work, we don't really think about that. So why can't we treat one another like we want to be treated? Because we forget, we get complacent. You know, we think everything is just it. It's not. Every day has to be a new day. We can't come in with the same attitude. And when you guys lose that, you don't want to do the job anymore. You go into a room, your hands in your pockets. When you first start, your hands are here. You're like all gun ho. Okay? After that second year, your hands is in your pockets when you go into a room. You're like, no. Once you get like that, think about what makes you want to do the job. Because those are the reasons why I chose to be here for going on 23 years. There was a lot of things I could have done. Yes, I was a cook before I was a PCT. But the one thing that changed my mind was I saw what changes I can make on a brain injury unit. And in my going on 23 years, there's so many changes that happen in healthcare. And a lot of it has to do with people like you. You know, once you forget the reason why you got into healthcare, you're not going to want to do healthcare anymore. Don't forget the reason why you wanted to do healthcare. Because of what happened to you, because of your death, because of what happened to you. Don't lose any of that. Because that's the reason why you guys decided to come into healthcare. He wanted about the meds, to see where it's going. Spend some time with your patient. I'm not saying spend the whole day, but if a patient is in a bed, and they're in a room, and they've been in a hospital, and it's going on 3 days now, no family member at all, no call, only person they get to see is you. How do you think that person feels? Exactly. Because to that person, they think, "Huh, only people that care are the people that I work with, is that are taking care of me." Well, you know what? Because we do care. We care because we want you to get out of here. Not because we want a new patient, it's because that's the gratification of the job. The gratification of the job is to make sure that people go on to better things. And your faces are the faces that they remember. And by doing that, that alone should make you happy. The fact that somebody can come back and sit there and say, "Hey, thank you so much for what you did." Okay? Any questions, guys? You can ask me anything. Except for.
I have one.
Shoot.
I know you work on a brain injury unit.
Yes, ma'am.
You have your fair share of interesting patients
Yes.
sometimes to work with. When you have less than an ideal situation, when you're dealing with a patient and it's not going great, do you have any tips or advice on how to overcome that?
Yes. So, what I tell them in my class is, when you start to feel that feeling, tap out. Okay? Tap out. Everybody needs it. Everybody needs to tap out. Trust me. I needed a tap out at one point. If you're starting to feel that, make sure you say, "Hey, can you give me a minute? That patient, okay?" And nurse could be like, "Okay, all right, I got you for a minute." And that's how a team works. Each one teach one, right? Because you're gonna work together for a while, an 8-hour shift, okay? And just remember, you're gonna be called everything under the sun, all right? I've been called everything under the sun. Because there's a lot of things that goes on. You don't know what that person is going through in that bed. Remember, they can't leave, we can. So we can't take none of that to heart, regardless. And I know, nobody wants to be called any kind of name. Trust me. But in every situation, there's a situation that it could possibly be your family member that's calling that person that name. Do you want to wild out because that person is calling you a name? No. Please. Take a pause. It doesn't make you any less of a good nurse or a good PCT if you say, "Hey, I need a pause." Actually, that's what makes you a good PCT, a good nurse, a good mental health, is to know when you can give yourself a pause and let the other person know. You can't hold it down and not feel like you can't talk to somebody. Speak for yourselves. Use your voice. If something's on the floor that's not working for you, use your voice. Go to your nurse manager. PCTs, talk to your RN. RNs, talk to your PCTs. Because the day is stressful for everybody across the board. Between chart work and all the stuff that's coming after you, like all at once. Without the team aspect, it cannot work. And that's why I'm here to talk to you guys, is to try and keep you on that team basis. RN, you're the quarterback. You got your linemen, your running backs, your wide receivers. Okay? You got to talk to them. Because they started, you finished. They're in there, getting the vitals, getting there, see the patient right off the rip. See how they are. Mental status in this job is a big, big deal. We get so overwhelmed. We got admissions coming in left and right. And you guys, you get flustered. And when you get flustered, take a pause. Because no matter where you go in healthcare, it's gonna be like that. It's a hustle and bustle. It is. But we are needed. We're few and far between. And that's the sad part. And the fact that people are in here and that have that empathy, that's willing to work, that means that we're getting somewhere. Okay? And if you guys have anything that you want to talk to through the course of your orientation, even after your orientation, I work over at Sunnyview. I come over here every now and then. Don't be afraid to talk. If something is bothering you, talk about it. Okay? Because the one thing we don't want is you not talking and then you getting frustrated and then you don't want to work anymore. That's where we don't want to go. We want you guys to stay. Talk what's going on. Let the nurses managers know what's going on the floor. Because nobody's going to know what's going on if you guys don't say anything. And that's what happens a lot of the times. Oh, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. Well, if you don't say something, who is? And then you just lost a friend. Because we see each other more than we see our family. As much as I hate saying that, it's true. Healthcare is it takes so much toll on your body that when you go home, sometimes you don't even want to be bothered. Before you get home, okay, and if you're having a frustrated day, before you get home, sit in that car, yell. You think I'm joking? Seriously, yell. Get all your frustration out before you get into the house. Because the person at home didn't do nothing to you. The same thing happens when you're coming into work. That drive-in, yeah. Because your patients and your staff that you're going to be working with, one, didn't wake up with you. Two, did not do anything to you. So get that frustration out before you come in. Because they need the best version of you. And the best version of you is always the start of the job. When you go through these orientations, this is the best version of everybody in here because this is new. I'll see you 6 months after and you tell me how you feel. It'll change drastically. But don't forget this feeling right now.
So how do you compare?
Me?
How do you overcome it?
Over the years, I realized the best thing for me is my drive home. My drive from home to work, from work to home. That space. We all need it. When you go into the house, and you know how whoever had kids, does anybody got kids? You know when you go in the house, kids want to come and grab on you. It's that time where you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Sit in the car for a minute. Sit in the car for a minute. Talk to yourself, get everything out that you need. Get all that frustration out. Because we all get frustrated. Trust me, you will. And you sit there and say, oh, I can't do this and I want to go. But don't remember this. The way you feel now is the way you want to feel all the way through. And that's the way I feel when I come through the door. I don't let anything outside is outside for a reason. Inside is inside for a reason. And if there's anything that you remember from me talking, just remember that. That person in the bed did nothing to you. I'm not saying you have to have a happy face, but I am saying at least be engageable. All right? Like I said, if you guys have any questions, they have my email. You want to talk about stuff? We can talk. You want to talk about stuff on the floor? We can talk. Because the only way we can get change is if we talk. All right? Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes.